deal with people who left Islam? How do you give them da'wah to come back?
Very good. How do you deal with people who left Islam, and how do you give them da'wah to come back? So I think the first thing you need to understand is that the reason people go astray, and I'm not talking about leaving Islam, but people go astray in general, can be divided into two things: shubuhat and shahawat. Shubuhat means they're confused. So they've got the wrong impression, maybe cultural ideas, maybe they've got like a Muslim treat them badly and they thought that's like a part of Islam, or they never got answers to their questions. I got, wallahi, many young people came to me who left Islam. And they said to me, we left Islam, and some of them, they never got answers to their questions. Like when they came and said, why do bad things happen? The Imam said, son, sit down and be quiet and don't ask questions. You know, and it settled in their heart. Those are doubts and confusion. The other reason is desires. So the person says, I'm not Muslim because I want to drink alcohol, or I want to be in a relationship outside of marriage, or I want to be, you know, gay, or whatever it is. Yani. Like the person has something that their nafs is calling them to, and they believe it's not compatible with Islam, and so they would rather leave Islam than leave that desire. When I first started talking to people who leave Islam, I used to believe that it was 90% shubuhat and 10% shahawat. I used to believe like 90% is confusion about the religion and 10% is desire. Wallahi, now I would swear by Allah that it's the other way around. 90% of it is desires. It's that they don't want to submit to Allah. And they'll give you shubuhat. Don't get me wrong, they'll put, or you know, Islam is barbaric, Islam doesn't do this, Islam doesn't respect women, Islam doesn't let you love who you want, Islam doesn't, they'll bring all that stuff. Like none of it is actually real. It's like atheists. Atheists are like that. They'll bring you so many things. In reality, he just wants someone to say that, look, Allah will answer your dua, Allah loves you, why you being, you know, that's the person, we are very emotional people. And so I used to meet with people and talk to them, and they bring me so many academic arguments and say to me like, the reason is because, you know, I believe that there's a verse 300 or verse 100 and something contradicts verse number 97. Be like, okay, go on, give me the verse, answer it, next verse. I believe because I don't believe the sunnah, I believe that I don't believe we should take what people say, and all of this. And then ultimately when you drill down to it, say, I made dua and Allah didn't answer my dua and then I left Islam. That's when you drill down to it, it's an emotional reaction. Because ultimately Islam is very logical and very rational. So somebody, when they leave it, they have to be irrational. They have to have something that doesn't make sense. But when you meet them, they're going to be a mix of those two things. They're not going to be just one. He's not going to say like, oh, I left Islam because I want to have a girlfriend. Like, it's not likely. Or these days, Allahumma musta'an. But actually, it's more likely that the person will bring you like, oh, I left Islam because this ayah contradicts this ayah, and I want to have a girlfriend. Like, it's all mixed in all together. So you got to kind of start pulling it apart bit by bit. Never ever get defensive. Never sweeten it for them. I'm not going to sweeten it for you. You're going to Jahannam unless you change yourself. But you can change. There is a way back to you. You can accept Islam again. You can correct yourself and you can be a good Muslim. And you can sort your religion out and get your knowledge properly. So I'm going to say to him that, be honest with you, I'll answer your shubuhat, but I want to know the real reason. I want to know the real reason. Don't give me this verse 300 and whatever, 100 and what this, that. Don't give me that. It's not the real reason. Tell me the real reason. I want to get deep down inside. Tell me the story of how you left Islam. And a lot of them were involved in a shahwa, a desire. That desire led them to want to stop practicing, and stopping practicing led them to justify it. So it often goes like that. There was a desire they had. That desire that they had led them to stop practicing. Stopping practicing led them to then justify why they're not practicing. Because someone's going to say, you're not practicing. And he's going to say, yeah, but I'm not practicing because of verse 97. Like, do you see what I mean? That came after the person left Islam because they don't want to practice anymore. So you have to honestly just start to unravel those issues bit by bit by bit. Give them solutions, answer their questions, but don't get on the defensive. Like sometimes I get like that. I speak to them and it's just ping pong, you know. I answer one verse, the next guy brings in the next verse. And he's not listening. He's not interested in the haqq. I give him, he says, this ayah contradicts this ayah. I said, okay, I'll explain it to you. I explain it to him. He's like, yeah, but, well, I don't mind about that. I don't agree about, and he goes on to something else and something else. After a while, I'm going to say to him, Akhi, listen, be honest with yourself. You're not being honest, because every time I'm answering you, you're running away and bringing me something else. And it's not because you have a doubt about the truth of Islam. What is really going on with you? What happened? Have you tried making dua? And I'll say to them, make dua. Even now, as a murtad and apostate, raise your hands and say, oh Allah, guide me. Perhaps Allah will answer your dua and guide you back to Islam. So I think it's a little bit, that's the process. But what I would say is don't get caught up in all the doubts, just responding all the time. Because honestly, whenever I do it, it doesn't end. The person said, I've got this doubt. I said, that's the reason you left Islam. He said, that's the reason I left Islam. So if I answer this doubt for you, you'll enter Islam again. Yeah, I'll enter Islam again. Okay, answered. 5 minutes, there you go. No, that's not the real doubt, because I've got other doubts. Yeah, the person doesn't want to engage with you. I'm not going to keep going. I'm going to say to him, listen, I'm not going to go around with you on all of your back and forward that you have, because you're not being honest with me. You're telling me it's because of this, this, and this, and it's not. There's something else. What's going on in your life? And a lot of them, shahawat. This guy's got himself into some stuff that he shouldn't be, and he's got himself far away from Allah, and he stopped praying, stopped making dua, got into haram, and then people put into his head why Islam is not true. I will answer a few of them, but I won't answer forever and ever. After a while, I'm going to say to him, you're not being sincere with me. If you're going to be sincere with me, come back and actually be sincere and be honest that this is nothing to do with it. What's the real reason? And sometimes he'll say it, like you get down to it, the real reason is ajib. Well, I've had all kinds of real reasons. And somebody, one guy, relationships, one guy, because his dua wasn't answered, one guy because his mom died, and he doesn't, like, how could Allah allow it to happen? All this type of stuff, emotional arguments. And when they admit that it's emotional, show them that there's a way back. Show them there's an emotion that is bigger than that. How bad you're feeling, whatever, it's not making you happy. Come back. And make sure they know there's a way back. I never leave them. If I say to them, sometimes I'll be honest, I say to them, look, I'm not going to message you anymore because you're not being reasonable with me. But I want you to know that as soon as you're willing to be reasonable and you're willing to be fair and just, wallahi, I'm here. Just message me again. And sometimes they message and sometimes they don't.